Hey guys, Scott from FryProps here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the patch panel kit for the Escape Keeper. This kit utilizes a new accessory for the Escape Keeper called the Patch Panel Sequencer. Essentially, it's designed to allow you to create a puzzle where players have to match using connecting wires two sets of inputs. Here we have a set of 6 black inputs and a set of 6 red inputs. You can have up to 7 of each, 7 on one side, 7 on the other. And the goal is to find the correct connections between these two sets of inputs to solve the puzzle. The cool thing, and the reason that this needs to use this patch panel sequencer, is that the Escape Keeper with this accessory is actually looking at both sets of inputs. If you were to create a puzzle like this using a standard Escape Keeper without the patch panel sequencer, it'd only really be looking at the inputs that are connected to the inputs on the Escape Keeper. So one side. With the patch panel sequencer, it's also looking at the inputs that are connected to the outputs on the sequencer. So you have a vastly increased number of possible solutions. In fact, if you're using 7 inputs, you have over 25 million possible solutions, which is pretty crazy. So we're using 6 here, so we're only at about 500,000 possible solutions. It'd be a little bit easier. So we wanted to just take a look at this kit setup. We're not going to go through the wiring because it's a fairly lengthy wiring process, but there is a really great diagram in the Escape Keeper manual, which you can print online. I'll show it here. It shows you how to connect all the inputs to the two sides of the Escape Keeper and the patch panel sequencer. So just follow that diagram and you'll be all wired up and set to go. As you can see here, we have our standard Escape Keeper. We have our patch panel sequencer, which is connected to the Escape Keeper. It's taking its power from the Escape Keeper. They're both 12 volts. So 12 volt coming over to the patch panel. We have our inputs. Black is on the patch panel. Red is on the Escape Keeper. We have 6 on each side. And we have a magnetic lock attached. Okay, so to start programming the Escape Keeper, we're going to go ahead and unplug the power. I'm going to hold down the number 3 button and we'll plug the power back in. I'm going to keep number 3 held until the LED starts blinking. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and follow along with the manual as to the next steps. So our first option here is our puzzle mode. We have a number of potential selections. We're going to want to use mode number 6. That's the patch panel mode. So using the dial to move the cursor on the LED board here, we can just go to the number 6 and tap number 3 to progress to our next option. Okay, so you can see the LED is now blinking twice, which means we're on selection number 2. That's for the number of inputs. Now we're using the patch panel puzzle, and if you look in the manual, it says to select the number of inputs you're using plus 1. So we're using 6. Remember that we looked before, we have 6 inputs. We don't count the total, so it's not 12. It's actually 6, or if you were using 7, it would be 7, so on. So you take your number of inputs. We have 6 plus 1 is 7, so we want to select 7, and we press number 3. Okay, the third selection is for our maglock output mode. We're going to go ahead and go to number 3 here for maglock no e-stop detection, because we just have our maglock plugged in. There's no e-stop connected, and we'll hit number 3 there. The next options we really don't need to do a lot with. Fourth option is auto reset. We don't want to have that right now. Fifth option is for a game timer. We also don't need that. And we're done. We're ready to go ahead and program the solution to our puzzle. Alright, so once we've programmed our Escape Keeper, we can go ahead and connect the wires that will bridge the connections between these two sets of terminals in the proper combination that we want to be the solution to our puzzle. So, with each kit, you will receive 6 pairs of wire. We actually give you an extra set so that there's actually 12 total wires. But for the puzzle with 6 outputs, you'll be using 6 wires. Each wire has a red and a black connector to match the color of the terminals, and all the wires are different colors. So we have here red, green, black, blue, purple, and yellow. So that helps in giving clues to your players as to which wires you need to put in which places and which sides of the wires need to go where. So right now, in order to program our solution, I'm going to go ahead and plug in these wires just to random ports for this demonstration. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug in all the red sides to the red plugs. And then we'll take all the black plugs and plug them into the black inputs. Now you can see as I do this that the LED input indicators will start blinking as the corresponding inputs are plugged in. Alright, so we have all our wires plugged in. It is important that you plug in all the wires that you'll be using for your puzzle. If you have open ports, sometimes that can cause a glitch in the programming. Okay, once you have all your wires plugged in the order that you want them, you simply tap the record button. Alright, the escape keeper has now saved this combination as the solution to that puzzle. So we can go ahead and remove one wire so that the puzzle isn't currently solved, and we can reset the escape keeper and play our game. If you were to leave the solution plugged in, the escape keeper will put out a reset error. It'll say you can't reset because the solution's already input. So we can go ahead and press the number 3 to start playing our game. The lock will lock. And you can see if we plug in the wrong wires, so if we were to put the red wire here and the green wire here, nothing happens. Puzzle isn't solved because the combination's not correct. Each side, the red and the black, have to be in the correct locations to solve the puzzle and open the lock. Again, your solution can be any combination of red or black. So this is great for creating a type of puzzle like, say, like an old telephone reception where you have to route calls to certain inputs, or a electrical connection puzzle where the players have to route electricity between the correct ports. Anything like that, this will work really well for. One other thing I wanted to talk about quickly are these clips that we use in this puzzle. These are called banana clips. There are a couple different styles. These are the ones that we're using currently. If your wire does happen to break, we do include a second set of wires with all our puzzles just in case, but you can also repair them yourself or make your own wires. The way that these connectors work is that there's a outer housing here and then the inner metal connector that actually is attached to the wire. If you need to reattach a wire, you have to unscrew the housing. Once it's unscrewed, you'll be able to push the metal back in and pull the housing away. This reveals the metal component inside. So the way that you connect the wire to the metal part, it helps if you kind of twist the strands together and give it a little bit of an upward curve. And then you can see here that there's a hole to put the wire through, and then there's also a little hole on the side here. So what you want to do is thread through the bottom hole and then up through the hole on the side. We probably have a little bit more wire here than we need, but then you want to wrap around to the left if you're looking at it straight up and down. Once you have that, you can go ahead and put the plastic cover back on and press the wire until the top is exposed, and then you can thread it back on in a clockwise motion to thread back on. You can test by pulling and pushing it to make sure it's firm, and that's how you connect these banana clip connectors to wires. So that way you can make your own wires if you want to. Any low voltage wire will work just fine, so you can use any different colors that you might want to for your puzzle. Alright, so that is a quick look at our patch panel kit. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment on this video or send us an email at sales@fretprops.com. Thanks!